lastly, as far as topics go, this is kind of a continuation of something.
I was distracted by a picture of Nicole Kidman. God, she's beautiful. Anyway, go on.
Well, it's this kind of leads into that to a degree.
Oh,
so,
does it? Oh, okay.
Yes and no. So this is a continuation of something that we talked about on a previous Chatting with Chatigny segment right here on Knights of the Dirty Table, about award shows, award ceremonies, awards in the arts. And I was kind of feeling, I think this was right after the Oscars last year, to tell you the truth, when...
It was either the Oscars or the Emmys. I can't remember.
Yeah, one of the two.
Might have been the Emmys because
it was the Emmys because it was the most recent.
You were very disillusioned about the fact that Ted Lasso won so many awards.
Ted Lasso and I think The Crown was the other one. I think that was the other one. It was two shows.
Swept it.
It was two shows that swept it. And now this isn't so much that same vein of sweeping per se that's I'm talking about, but the Golden Globes just took place on Sunday to almost no fanfare. So this was something that I wish I had known last year after the ceremony.
Okay.
It was reported that the Hollywood Foreign Press, the group of people that vote on the awards for the Golden Globes that represent the best in comedy and drama for movies and television. So it's a little more varied compared to some other awards.
Gotcha.
There are, in fact, no black people on the voting committee. There are no people of not necessarily no color, but there are no black people who are associated with the Hollywood Foreign Press. So it's basically just a bunch of European white people just voting on these films, which a lot of us didn't find to be okay as far as representing. So NBC decided this year that they were not going to air the Golden Globes on their network. And the rest of the networks actually also agreed, we will not look to purchase the broadcast rights to air the Golden Globes on television.
Okay.
So how did the Golden Globes get held this year? It was held in a private ceremony, and all the awards were announced on Twitter.
Okay.
So, which honestly, I kind of like that the Globes got taken down a bit. Because for me, now, mind you, I don't drink, so this is also coming from that kind of opinion as well. I was never the biggest fan of watching the Golden Globes and just seeing quote-unquote Hollywood elite get plastered and make jokes at their own expense, but then also try to promote social change for whatever was going on, whether it was gun violence reform or police brutality or world hunger or kind of anything, because it all just always felt empty. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, you have all this money where
it felt like grandstanding. Is that what it?
Very.
That what it felt like.
It never truly felt authentic when kind of one person after another just kind of goes up and talks about.
Math has some opinions on that.
It really kind of was, to quote one.
Tell us how you really feel.
Circle jerk. Yeah, it just never. The other award shows were a little more okay for me because there was a bit more of a stronger presentation and there was more order to it. But the Golden Globes, everyone is just kind of eating endlessly. They're getting lavish amounts of gifts. Everyone practically walks away with a car and a dream vacation that they have to pay a bunch of taxes on, but they have the money to do it because they just got done with these roles.
Sure.
That one would think paid them a lot of money, regardless of whatever network or film studio you were associated with. And it just felt like a party that none of us necessarily needed to watch. So I'm personally actually glad that the Golden Globes got taken down a peg. That's not to say that the winners and recipients of said Golden Globes didn't deserve their awards. Now, of course, you notice Nicole Kidman here on our notes down below. She won.
She is hard not to notice.
She won Best Actress for playing Lucille Ball in Being the Ricardos.
Okay.
I was a little shocked because I kind of really thought that Lady Gaga had an honest chance as far as House of Gucci, which I just saw with a very good friend recently, and we both really liked it a lot.
Previews looked pretty solid for that one. I mean, it looked very emotional and very like.
That's the story.
Yeah.
It's based on real events. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Wow. One thing that was a bit of a surprise to me, but while I'm happy to see, Will Smith winning Best Actor for playing Richard Williams in the film King Richard's, dad to Serena and Vanessa Williams.
Cool.
Which is very cool.
Love Will Smith.
Did I say Vanessa? I mean Venus. I'm sorry. That was terrible. Not Vanessa Williams, even though Vanessa Williams is incredible.
They know
Venus
what we're
Williams.
talking about. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
West Side Story took home Best Comedy or Musical, and the Best Actress for Comedy and Musical and Best Supporting Actress both went to the respective actors from West Side Story as well. Okay. Rachel Zegler becoming the youngest person to win a Golden Globe at age 20. Congratulations to her. She was phenomenal. Saw West Side Story as well. That was very good. Andrew Garfield, hashtag Spider-Man, he won for Best Actor for Tick, Tick, Boom, the Jonathan Larson musical that was directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, put out on Netflix. So there were a lot of winners that felt appropriate for who won and such, but it's not so much necessarily the people that won that stick out to me. It's more the party not happening this year, and I'm kind of happy with that. Nate, do you have any thoughts on what I'm talking about as far as not having the party?
Yes, and I'm going to pose this as a question.
Do it up.
And it can be rhetorical, and that's fine. Why give so much weight to the subjective opinions of other people on the merits of one's work? And what I mean by this is, obviously, the Golden Globes, the Emmys, they all exist for a purpose, which is to help evaluate. There's a group of people that evaluate and share their opinions, and they come together and decide based on the artistic medium that you've chosen and the things that you've done with it and our opinions and through our lens, you did the best. I guess I just got one question. Who gives a fuck? And I'm being serious right now. I'm a huge fan of the Fast and the Furious movies. Mm-hmm. I like them a lot because they are just 2-hour blocks of complete mindless entertainment. And you can just get lost in it. And obviously, like, they've kind of moved away from cars and more towards being the Avengers with motor vehicles. And you know what? I'm here for it because
MCU with a GED.
Exactly.
I'm here for it.
It's MCU with high octane gas and lots of family, which I love.
Family.
Yeah, I don't have friends. I got family. I mean, it's like, it's just awesome in its own way. Are any of those movies ever gonna win an Academy Award? Fuck no, not a chance. But that's okay. That's cool because not every movie is supposed to be for awards. Some movies are just for enjoyment. Case in point, you made mention of this a second ago. The entire MCU. I doubt if any of those have ever won any awards, and that's okay because every single one of those movies is entertaining and fun, and they've created this beautifully immersive universe. And I'm sure they have won awards.
I will only simply counter with as far as the Oscars. They did win for Best Costume Design. And there were a couple more Oscars. I just can't remember the top of my head. Maybe Best Makeup Design as well for Black Panther.
Yep.
So that one sticks out. But as far as everything else, no acting awards have been given out for the MCU. We got close in television this past year, but like I mentioned the last time you were here, the sweeping prevented that, or a different kind of sweeping prevented that from happening with one particular show. But
gotcha. Well, but in case in point, who gives a fuck? Even if they never won an award, those are awesome movies. They're fun. I mean, I've seen a couple of videos of like the Thor coming back from Asgard and like, bring me Thanos, and in the theater, and just everybody loses their minds and they're cheering and clapping and crying, and like any movie that can bring anyone to that emotional peak is awesome. No
question. Just have to shout out YDD that this segment probably does sound like it's excuses losers make. Yes. Am I a loser for not being at the party? Probably. But yeah. I guess I feel like I said everything I wanted to. I guess I'm okay with the concept of awards in general just being taken down so far a peg that kind of no one else is really talking about the Golden Globes. Now, of course, they can put that on their resume, even if they don't, go on to win Oscars. Usually, the theme around this time is no, it's all good. YDD. The theme is usually if you win the Golden Globe, the Oscars are the following month. Usually, you will win the Oscar. Typically, it's between the best comedic actor or the best dramatic actor, one of the two. Sometimes there are surprises, like last year's surprise that Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor over Chadwick Boseman, who won his Best Actor Golden Globe. So that was kind of a surprise to that degree. And it can happen. There's no absolute rule with it, but typically that's the trend. And I'm just okay with going off of what we talked about last time, just the concept of awards and art being so subjective, and just, especially with the Golden Globes in particular, all the bribery and all the lavish gifts and the parties and everything that goes with it.
You could certainly make the argument that in some cases, the earning of the award there's an asterisk next to it if there is some bribery that goes on behind the scenes. And also, the earning of the award is contingent on the people that are giving the award agreeing with whatever is presented in the piece of art that's being assessed. So, for example, you brought up the point about what did you say, that there was no black people or black assessors on the board that did the Golden Globes. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. So from that perspective, it could. There's no guarantee of this, but there could absolutely be some slanting in terms of the representation, and not even the representation, but like the pieces of music, the pieces of art in this case presented. Maybe there's certain groups of people that they speak to, but they don't speak to the award givers, and therefore they're just not considered. And that's why I come back to the point, like, who gives a fuck? You can't care or use that as a basis for, I'm going to watch this show because they said it was good. Cool, good for them. But you got to, it's my belief that everybody has the power to think critically and make their own choices. Yeah, so, wrapping this up, thank you, Crossover Lord. Award shows are, well, actually, I'm going to change your language a little bit because, well, I agree that they're fucking stupid. I never watch them. I hate them. I think they're a waste of time. But, let people live vicariously through others, I guess.
I will
Whatever.
just add
Hate for
in
me.
to Crossover's point as far as animated projects, yes, Encanto did win for Best Animated Feature at the Golden Globes, so they at least got that one right. But I don't disagree that animated projects still get very shoveled to the side forcibly, even though some of them are incredible. There's a vast argument, I think, that Beauty and the Beast could have won the Oscar back in 1991 for Best Picture. It was the first animated feature to be nominated for Best Picture. It could have won. Its problem was it went up against Silence of the Lambs. That's really tough competition.
That's a tough act to follow.
But I really think
that was a great movie. Oh.
I do think another year it honestly could have won.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
I think there's been some examples of that. Like there's probably dozens and dozens of examples where there's just so many awesome movies that come out in a year that is so difficult to pick.
And then at that point, what that comes down to is which studio is willing to put the most into their ad campaign, as far as bribing the judges, most particularly the Golden Globes, not
Marketing
as much
wins.
the other. Yeah,
Marketing wins, and that's true in all areas of life. Never mind just movies. Marketing wins. A great example. Let me think of a good example for this. There are thousands upon thousands of examples of companies in various spaces that are objectively not the best at what they do, but they are the most successful. They sell the most product. They have the most, they have the biggest presence in everyone's minds, not because they're the best, but because they market well and they market effectively and they market to the right people in the right way. And they use all the right channels to create that image of the brand. And you're like, I think of, I think of Apple, I think of phones, I'm an iPhone for life. I love my iPhone, and a lot of people say, I pay too much for that, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I like these. They make me smile, and I'm going to buy them for the rest of my life because I just absolutely love them. And does that mean Apple's, not the best? Again, all subjective. Who fucking cares? Do what you want. But yeah, so marketing wins. Marketing absolutely wins. It triumphs over everything in terms of quality, effectiveness, all of it, which is something that's important to remember. So, if you're out there looking for, let's say you're shopping for a car, just because something's on TV, just because the billboards are everywhere, doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't make it bad either. But this is where critical thinking comes into play.
Yeah, which is so funny that you bring that up because, in particular, I'm just quickly going through the chat. Thanks, Sammy. Much love. I appreciate you with all your
now we don't have to talk about the award show because Sammy gave you an award. Sammy, you're a real one.
Great, we're winners again. Woohoo! I'll just add in lastly that with West Side Story in particular, what's kind of amazing is they put a lot of marketing into that film, and even though it was a critical darling,
appreciate you, IDD.
even though it was a critical darling, that, you know, people love, just won the Golden Globe for Best Musical and won these actress awards, and, you know, like, critics love the film, it's actually going to be a financial bomb. It needs to make $300 million to break even, and I think it only is at scratching the surface at $100 million just to make its budget back as far as the film itself. It was an expensive film. It was Spielberg going all in, trying to add more to
and this
the
is
story.
Encanto you're talking about?
Not Encanto, West Side Story.
West Side Story. Okay, pull up West Side Story. I want to see what the actual, if there is a listed budget for that.
Yeah. The budget would be $100 million.
Oh yeah, they're
And I'm sorry,
just over half of that right now.
And I was way off. I was saying that it scratched $100 million. Nope, it is currently at $53.5 million in box office return, and the $100 million doesn't include the $200 million extra for the marketing.
So
it's nowhere close.
Is marketing not included in those numbers?
No, because that would be a private thing.
Yeah, true. But
or they would consider that a private thing.
But that's incomplete then. You need to know how much you spent to market it to know what your ROI
I think there are other sources that list that stuff. I guess just Wikipedia doesn't include that in their stuff. Okay. But I mean, it's mentioned in here as far as how much.
The reason I bring this up, chat, for any of you who are entrepreneurs or considering business in any way, is to measure ROI, like return on investment, you got to know how much you spent, all of it. So to just say, like, let's, for example, let's say I run a restaurant, right, and I sell breakfast sandwiches. If I just add up the cost of the eggs, the bacon, and the cheese, and the English muffins, I don't know how much it costs to run my business at all. If I just assume, like, oh, here's the cost of the sandwich. Like, it cost me $1 to make each sandwich, and I'm selling for $3. I'm making money. Yeah, but how about the building and the electricity and the staff and the advertising and the cleaning people and all the equipment and the gas and the turning the lights on and the water? All that stuff has to be included in the cost of the sandwich to know if you're making money. So, yeah, anyway, there you go. A little bit on ROI.
Well, certainly Disney, who owns 20th Century Studios, which owns the film, of course, they know this going in.
Oh, yeah. They have all the data.
But at the end of the day, too, what's so funny in the age of streaming is it kind of doesn't matter as much. Not as much as it used to. Like, it matters to a degree. You want people to go see your movie, but...
Yeah, crossover, that lines up with what we have here.
Yeah.
Your numbers, they add up.
Definitely.
Thank you for that.
So, yeah, it'll live on Disney Plus and as another piece of content, and I'm sure people will continually watch it. And it's in my mind, the superior version compared to the first one, which was also a classic. It won numerous Academy Awards. It won the most Academy Awards and that record stood for like close to 40, 50 years. Up until Lord of the Rings
awesome.
Came in. Yeah.
Oh, Ansel Elgort was the
Yes.
The headliner.
Baby Driver.
Yeah, he was great in Baby Driver, and I'm sure he's done other good stuff.
He was really good.
Speaking of great movies that were never going to win any awards, and I think actually Baby Driver won for soundtrack, and they won for sound editing and soundtrack, which makes sense. If anybody here has seen Baby Driver, you know why. But God, Baby Driver, what a fantastic movie. So much fun.
I just saw that for the first time super recently.
Really?
Barny showed it to me, and I've been educated. It is, in fact, a great movie.
You liked it?
I did, very much so.
So much fun. You know,
well, I mean, if you guys like something, chances are I'm going to like it too.
Yeah. See, one of the cool things. Yeah, that's.
I want to see Ansel and his fine ass. Come on now.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we're gonna get copyright struck for that because y'all don't like it when I play Michael Jackson on lo-fi. It's fine, I ain't salty, but okay, carry on.
Here's a little fun fact for you about Baby Driver. Most of the stunts were real. Most of the driving stunts were real. So
of course you would notice that, absolutely. Not that it wasn't obvious, but still.
Being that I've done some performance driving in the different autocrosses and stuff like that I've done, I paid very close attention to that opening sequence, and the craziest one was he's going down the alley, there's a truck here, and he like does a slide and goes behind the truck and turns the car around.
Oh my God, yes.
I think that might have been the only one that was CGI, and the driving was not the CGI part. I think the truck
it was the truck. Yeah.
The truck was put there in post.
I just found that out too, and that's crazy to me. Like you would think.
But you can do that with a car. Like I've seen people do that with a car intentionally and unintentionally. The unintentional ones, that's a Brown moment for sure. Speak from experience on that one. But like all that stuff is so cool that they use. I always respect movies that use a lot of practical effects. The explosion in Spectre, for example.
Yeah.
You know, even though all the big facility was added in post, that was all just gas.
And award shows typically do still value practical over CGI.
Yep, CGI is easy.
There's very minimal. They don't mind CGI as much when you're recreating a time period.
Sure.
That's not as bothersome, but they take it into account when looking at characters and performances in that way. And of course, there are other awards that honor that kind of work. Certainly the Saturn Awards come to mind.
Yep.
As far as material that honors CGI, but more like sci-fi, fantasy, superhero, that kind of thing. There's all kinds of awards for all kinds of things. And to your point, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because as long as you enjoy it and it makes you happy, that is what matters. It's just for me as a performer.
And there it is.
Just as a performer, just to wrap up, when I see how financially important these awards are, not necessarily just for the studios in order for these movies to continue to have a life after the film has its run, and now with streaming involved, it matters too, but also for actors and actresses, it usually means a bigger payday. You can...
Yeah, someone mentioned that in the chat earlier, that like they generally command a higher salary on future projects
because they can
get better opportunities as a result.
Yes, better opportunities.
I don't know who said that, but that was absolutely in the chat.
mean, Rachel Zegler, now 20 years old, Golden Globe winning actress, and it's only just starting. She's going to be Snow White in the Disney live-action remake of Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. She is going to be starring in Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. Just found that out. So she's already, and that was before the Golden Globe. She was already catapulting because everybody knew, like, she's got it. But now, with an award under her belt for this celebrated role, her agent can already command more, and to that I say, more power to her.
Absolutely.
Whoa. Welcome to the end of the Knights of the Dirty Table video that you just watched. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to our channel, like our video, share with all your friends, and catch our live stream every Friday live at 5, only on the Zenden Studios Twitch channel. I gotta go wander off into space. See ya! Whoa! Whoa!